And the closing arguments of Prince Harry's High Court battle against Mirror Group newspapers were lodged yesterday, with MGN's barrister Andrew Green KC dropping a courtroom bombshell. With the Duke suing the company over unlawful information gathering, Green argues that Prince Harry has brought legal action as a moral crusade, not because he has evidence, writing, "The true purpose of this litigation appears not to be to achieve compensation for unlawful activity by MGN, but instead it forms part of the Duke's campaign to reform the British press." He added that it had failed to withstand scrutiny or identify any evidence. And those claims seem to be backed up by Harry himself in his High Court appearance just 3 weeks ago. Here's our actor.
You think your phone was consistently hacked throughout the 15-year period between 1996 and 2011, the time period that makes up your claim against MGN?
It could have been happening on a daily basis. I simply don't know.
Are you aware of any evidence to show this?
No, that's part of the reason I'm here, my lord.
So what do you reckon, as lawyers for the Mirror Group say the Duke of Sussex is suing the press as a moral crusade? Is Harry doing more harm than good by focusing on the past? Dan at gbnews.com. Vote in our poll. You can head to @gbnews on Twitter to do so. Those results shortly. But to help you make up your mind, I'm joined by the royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams, the social commentator Bushra Sheikh, and the royal author Dr. Tessa Dunlop. So, Bushra, this is a fascinating closing argument from the Mirror Group, who say, look, Harry has no evidence. This is a campaign. He's using the judicial system to try and shut down freedom of the press in the UK. That's not OK, is it, Bushra?
Certainly, Dan, it's definitely not okay. There's a couple of elements here. One is it's valuable court time that Harry is wasting by doing this. And I'm sure there are thousands and hundreds of other claims that the judges in the courts could do with seeing to instead of this. And the other side of it is this reform that Harry talks about, or the crusade and the moral crusade. I can't help but really wonder, is he trying to do something in regards to his late mother, Princess Diana, perhaps trying to have justice for her when things were slightly different with the paparazzi in the press in those times? Things have moved on, and I just feel like this is uncalled for. Also, to add to the fact that the allegations that he's claiming are incredibly unsubstantiated, so he is wasting time.
Richard Fitzwilliams, it's a fair point, isn't he? There wasn't any evidence in court, whereas Harry has spoken consistently and constantly about what I would describe as a vendetta. He almost wants to shut down the British tabloid press.
Well, I think the point is, of course, what the judge decides. Because if Harry wins, and I mean, he's called it his life's work to, as he sees it, reform the tabloid press. We know that the two, the Sussexes and the tabloids, cannot stand each other. There's no question about that. But so far as this is concerned, if he wins, it's worth remembering hacking is the great evil that brought up Leveson. The Mirror Group newspapers already paid £100 million, as reported, because of illicit hacking, and there's a positive queue. There's some 100 people, it's reported. So this is going to be absolutely huge, and it's worth remembering he's got an Associated Press claim in court, and then there's the NGN against the Sun and the former News of the World.
Yeah, he's going for everyone. He's going for everyone. And by the way, this is not excusing any illegal activity at newspapers. But Tessa Dunlop, the issue is Harry has no evidence. So he is using a judicial process for a campaign. And that's not how you're meant to run campaigns.
I always worry about you, Dan. You get so upset and anxious about Harry's court case. Yeah, I mean, it is his private money that he's using to shine a light for the moral good.
So you don't believe in freedom of the press?
I do fully believe in freedom of the press. We had a huge inquiry in 2012, unfinished because of pressure from the press. So we never worked out what damages should have been accorded to the victims in the wake of the Leveson inquiry. And actually, I can't see why this does so much harm. I mean, tomorrow there's news coming out about the sovereign grant and how much our state institution, the monarchy, costs us. I would argue you'd be better off expending your ire on that as opposed to a court case that's funded or is going to be funded by Harry if he loses it. And if he doesn't lose it, and please bear in mind when you say, oh, there's no proof, he has to prove this on the balance of probabilities. Now, I don't want to patronise you or talk to you like you're a schoolboy, but it is a little bit complicated. It's a civil case, and that means that the judge in this case only has to be satisfied on the idea that the occurrence of the event was more likely than not to have occurred.
Oh, yes.
And
I'm
therefore,
used to being patronised by you by now, Tessa, and I'm well aware. And you know what, Tessa? Here's my concern. Actually, I'll put this to you, Bushra. Here's my concern, Bushra. I believe, and I hope I'm proven wrong, but I believe the judge won't want to embarrass a member of the royal family. Because remember, a member of the royal family has never lost in court. So he probably will find. Oh, maybe one of these 33 stories came from hacking, and then he will give Harry this very small amount of damages. And I argue, Bushra, that this is actually doing great damage to the British press. And Harry doesn't believe in the British press. You know, he's actually said he doesn't even believe in freedom of the press in the US. He's against the First Amendment.
Yes, I mean, look, when it comes to Harry, we know that there is so much stuff happening with him. The fact that he's even gone to America and he's pursuing this stuff in Great Britain just seems so oddly bizarre to me. Firstly, we know that he hasn't got enough evidence. And even if the judge doesn't want to embarrass him, if this campaign exists, which he's clearly said that it has, this is not the way to do it, not to use a justice system in this country. Go and campaign for the reform of the press like other campaigns do, which is externally, and really get
set up his own newspaper. Richard, why are you shaking your head at that? I mean, he can go and set up his own newspaper. He can talk about the media as much as he wants.
But Danny has a perfect right to do it, and as I say,
evidence.
It is an absolutely vital issue. The phone hacking, the one reason it may be thrown out, of course, is because it was a long time ago. But the facts are that he has undoubtedly taken up some form of crusade, but he's entitled to do it. Okay. And if he wins, it's going to be an absolutely huge event. And also, you mentioned he was the first royal since 1891. Well, I mean, it takes a good deal of courage to do it.
Courage.
Because the royals never complained and never explained.
Okay, let Tessa come in.
Nonetheless, I give him the courage.
You keep on going back to this idea that there's no evidence. Actually, I love the fact you chose to focus on NGMN's concluding arguments, and you didn't look at Harry's KC Sherborne, who pointed out that actually, and this is really suspicious, on the head of the Sunday Mirror's telephone was the Duke of Sussex private mobile phone number. Also, why weren't key witnesses from that time, the high hegians, the executives and the legal board of MGN, called to give evidence? There was huge holes in their case. The problem with this, Dan, and I include you, I'm afraid, here, my dear friend, as part of the problem, you are judging this case through a media prism when the whole point is Harry is challenging that media prism. And this is the one time when I'm sad we haven't got televised courtrooms, because the only people reporting back to us about what was said in the case is that same media that actually is trying to interrogate, and he's not alone. There are 3 or 4 other claimants.
You're speaking complete rubbish on that, because actually the Guardian newspaper, the British Bashing Corporation, who were all in the court and providing live updates, are desperate to see the tabloid media in Britain shut down. The Guardian was responsible for the revelations about phone hacking in the first place. So I wasn't looking at this evidence through any form of prism. I was looking at all of the court reporting. We actually recreated key moments from the trial. I played one to you there. Harry himself, Tessa, admitted that he had no evidence. That was his own words.
I'm going to go back to the point that in a civil case, it's balance of probabilities. And we know, because the Mirror Group admitted it in 2015, phone hacking and blagging and illegal interception was rife. They have set aside £28 million to pay out. We know that they are culpable in many other cases, so why not Harry? It's the burden is on them to say, why not Harry? If they were doing it to every other Coronation Street actor, and goodness knows who, then why not Prince Harry?
Yeah, I'm just going to enter by saying that, you know what, the British public are just fed up of Harry, fed up of Meghan. And right now, the only kind of feeling that we've got is Harry is grifting and he's using this press, using this system to just get more eyes on him. It's unnecessary. He needs to stop doing it.
Spirited debate. Richard Fitzwilliams, Bush Rashake, Tessa Dunlop. Thank you to all three of you. Who do you agree with, though? Is Harry doing more harm than good by focusing on the past in court? Diane writes, yes. He needs to leave the past behind. It's over. Time to focus on his future and what he's going to do for the rest of his life. Hal writes, Harry is slowly learning that reflecting on the past will only get him so far. Now he is going to have to start relying on something like, I don't know, evidence? Not much of that. And from Randy, they use the past as a tactic to draw sympathy. Just look at all the endless Diana comparisons in the Netflix show, but it's a tactic that's wearing very thin now. And 91% of you agree that Harry is doing more harm than good by focusing on the past with these legal court cases. Just 9% of you backing him here.